Another IRS mess putting the healthcare law in a bigger mess. Hello, everyone. I'm Charles Payne in for Neil Cavuto. And the agency in charge of collecting taxes is paying companies behind on their taxes. A new report saying the IRS doing business with nearly 1,200 companies owing more than $500 million, and most without a plan to pay it back. And this is the crew enforcing the healthcare law? To Ben Stein, Dagan McDowell, Adam Leszczynski, and Charlie Gasparino. Dagan, got to start with you on this.
It's beyond a shocking embarrassment because it shows that the IRS can't do its primary basic function before you add on all of the additional responsibilities of policing Obamacare, of handing out the subsidies. It is doing business with entities that owe taxes. And it's just looking at, in some cases, is looking the other way. There's one entity undisclosed in this Inspector General's report that owes more than $500 million in taxes.
And still I don't get it, Charlie. I mean, this is crazy.
Right. I mean, there is a Keystone Cop element here, and that makes it scary that they have to enforce the health care law. But it also says something about it's an indictment of our government. Government is way too big, that not even the main policing agency to police to make sure entities pay taxes can do it. I mean, this is scary. The tax code is actually too complicated for the IRS to enforce.
You know, Ben, we know about the incompetency factor, but a lot of people wonder if maybe if we're giving this particular agency far too much power in general.
Taxes are an incredibly complicated subject. There's not going to be any perfection at the IRS, but this level of mistaken behavior is astonishing. If I may say so, it's not quite as astonishing to me, who got a bill for $60 million in tax a couple of months ago based on something like $160 million of income that I never even earned or even saw anything like that in my whole life, except when you guys pay me, of course. And so I don't expect much of them, but even this disappoints even me.
Ben, what did they say though when you called them up? By the way, you're lucky they didn't come and lock you up first and then ask for the money. But how did you protest $60 million?
You're not kidding. Well, my accountant wrote to them, and they just disposed of it. They just sent me a new bill for $200 million. They just sent me a new bill, and that was the end of it. But they never apologized. They never apologized for putting me into shock and putting me into cardiovascular.
Charles, Ben said, but I only made $120 million. This isn't fair at all.
You know what he said?
No, not even remotely.
Adam, he actually said, I'm friends with Adam Leszczynski. They said, well, why didn't you say so? You don't have to pay this.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Go ahead, Adam.
Well, so here's my thought on this. First of all, we should sort of say there's absolutely nothing linking these two stories. This is an opportunity to bash Obamacare, which I know you love to do, Charles. The fact that the IRS could do its job better, and the IRS, of course, could do its job better, like the rest of us, by the way,
has nothing to do with Obamacare. $500 million, Adam. We're not. I mean, this is really.
Yeah, I get it.
This is a gigantic problem.
I get it. They're terrible. But
who
you don't
should
like
be confident about their confidential information going to this company? Who should be to this agency?
Charles, who do you want to collect taxes? I think I know the answer. You don't want anybody to collect taxes. But
Adam, I hear they're good at spying. I hear they're good at spying on conservative groups. The IRS is very good at that, and auditing those, and very good at auditing those conservative groups.
I'm not
but I hear they do that with
I'm not going to dismiss that either.
Efficiency. They're very, very good at auditing conservative groups. They do it efficiently, and they basically get anything they want from them.
But here's the thing, though. Okay,
so here's my response
Adam,
to you, Charlie.
Obamacare is the biggest issue in the country right now. People have a right to be afraid. People have a right to be nervous. And to Ben's point, the IRS is a name that triggers a lot of fear already, and there's a lot of skepticism of whether they can do this job and whether they can do it honestly.
So I get that, but
I'd say there's not much skepticism anymore.
Go ahead.
You're choosing to look at the cup half empty because you're pessimistic, Charles. I choose to look at the cup half full here. I mean, I pay my taxes every year. They collect my taxes.
All right. Hey, I got to go back to Dagan for a minute.
That's a lot of.
They can put people in prison.
Dagan, I mean, honestly, though.
Adam's doing a lot of IRS bootlicking right now because he's worried about getting audited.
He won't ever get audited.
He made the $200 million.
Maybe he did. Here's the thing, though. I mean, even before the scandal that Charlie talked about, this was something that had a lot of people rightfully concerned that, because of the problems that the IRS has had in the past. And, I don't know. I mean, it's a legitimate argument.
It's a legitimate worry for a number of reasons. There was another report out this past week questioning whether the IRS has proven that it can prevent improper payments of subsidies related to Obamacare, that it could be prone to fraudulent behavior. That's number one. Number two, the reason that the mandate on employers was delayed for a year is because the IRS did not have its act together.
And remember,
so to raise issues about the IRS's ability to do its job, handing out subsidies and handling people's income information related to Obamacare is not a jump off the cliff because it can't do its current job.
And in order for Obamacare to pay for itself, forget about whether it's good or bad, but just to pay for itself and live up to all that rhetoric about it paying for itself and saving money, the IRS has to be efficient and competent. And if they're not efficient and competent, this thing will blow up.
So
and that's right, Ben.
I just want to jump
and this
in on
is
that,
just,
Charlie.
by the way, you know, Adam, and you can in a second. This is just one more example on why they are not efficient and competent at doing their main job. Forget about auditing tax-exempt conservative groups.
Go ahead, Adam.
We're very good at that.
If the subject is the IRS, and we're all agreed that the IRS does its job poorly, I completely agree. Let's get on the IRS to do its job well. That's the point. But if you say, well, what's your solution other than that, Charlie? I mean, do you want to get rid of the IRS? Do you want the IRS
I don't want to get rid of the IRS. I want to get rid of
Obamacare?
Obamacare. That's clear. I mean, I'm not hiding any of that. But I'm saying that even if you take a very rational view of this, that the law is the law, right? The main body carrying out the law is incompetent, and the law and by the way, if they're incompetent, then this thing is going to blow up in all our faces.
You know, interesting, Ben.
Let's get on them then.
Ben, you said laws change. I think we had just another change in the Obamacare law this week alone. So I think it's been 4 or 5. I lost track of them, but.
Look, gigantic laws can change. Look, racial segregation used to be the law of the land. Laws can change, and a law like this can change and must be changed in a big, giant way.
Until that happens, or could happen, Ben, what do we do, though? I mean, do we entrust the IRS to hand out cash, to hand out subsidies, which, by the way...
There's nothing we can do. There's nothing we can do.
Crazy,
as Adam so correctly said, it is the law of the land. We are presently living under an oppressive and unjust law called Obamacare, and that is the law of the land.
But, you know, I read somewhere, Ben, where $20 billion to $200 billion, they lose track. And tax refunds are inappropriately distributed every year. That pays for everybody's health care, but that's the kind of thing we can expect maybe to happen again.
Well, that's what happens when you turn over health care to the federal government. That was a big mistake in the first place. Now it's been done. Can it be repealed? Can we get a Republican president and a Republican Congress next time? Maybe. Maybe yes. Maybe no. I doubt it.
Dagan, give us a solution. You've got all the facts in front of you.
I don't want to have. Well, you know what's shocking about this, though? Now, the IRS with these vendors, they check to see if you owe back taxes when they give you the initial contract, but they don't follow up. And these vendors basically think the IRS is so lousy at collecting taxes that they don't even bother to pay them on time, even though they're doing business with them. That speaks volumes
There is
about
a solution
how they feel
here.
about
There is a solution here, and that's journalism. People like us going out there talking about this,
with you there.
Talking about how lousy the IRS is, how lousy this law is, and let people decide in 2016 where to vote, because as Ben said, this law can be changed dramatically. It's not that hard.
No, let's improve our civil service.
Let's get rid of it.
The IRS.
Let's get rid of it. We've seen it in action. Let the voters decide to get rid of it, which
we need the tax collector, Charlie. You know that.
I'm not saying get rid of the IRS. I'm saying get rid of Obamacare. And by pointing out how absurd the main enforcement agency of Obamacare is, how incompetent.
All right, guys. Last point. We'll leave it right there.